Welcome to Uncaged, a show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to the commerce of tomorrow. Today, we're speaking with AJ Marino and Mike Marino. Hey, guys, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. How are you?
Very well. Very, very well. So we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects today, marketing and advertising. We're going to be also talking to a family business, so to speak, here. We're going to be focused on Big Arrow Group. Mike Marino is the president and CEO of the Big Arrow Group, and AJ Marino leads their business development efforts. We'll go through a lot more about what Big Arrow is focused on these days. Before we get there, AJ, why don't you kick this off? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having us. So I'm currently located in San Francisco. We just opened up the Big Arrow West, so to speak. So Big Arrow Group's West Coast office. Previously, I spent some time at BSSP out in Sausalito working on a range of consumer brands. And before that, worked the overnight shifts and ran teleprompter for Good Morning America. So cut my teeth where I needed to, and excited to join my dad and sort of see where we can take Big Arrow Group from here.
That's excellent. And Mike, congratulations in finding a way to get your son back into the business. That's a tremendous achievement for other people that understand how family businesses operate. But Mike, tell me a little bit about Big Arrow.
Big Arrow is a focused communications company that started about 20 years ago to fill a need in the market that we saw at the time of the gap between big consulting companies and big communications companies. And frequently they did anything but overlap. And we saw the opportunity to really take advantage of the strategic and economic insights delivered by a business consultant with the creative expression and execution of a strategy of an advertising agency. Mm-hmm. And that's really been our sweet spot, the space between consulting and communications to really kind of deliver what a strategy looks like and what a strategy sounds like.
And Mike, I mean, just so I'm clear, I think you guys focus more heavily on the healthcare space. Is that
well?
fair?
We try and focus on. I started in healthcare. Mm-hmm. Dialing back, I started as a trainer for the New York Jets and a physical therapist for the New York sports teams, and was looking for something to apply my healthcare information and knowledge into a more creative field, hence healthcare communications. And then from there branched out from healthcare, and we started Big Arrow looking at all regulated markets,
right,
where the government has something to say. And just because the creative box is a little smaller doesn't mean you can't be any less creative.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we see now, I mean, even regulated businesses are getting heavily focused in the digital space. I mean, AJ, when you guys are going out there thinking about kind of integrated marketing efforts, what's the mix of a solution these days?
That's a really good question. I mean, for us, it's always about looking at sort of where a brand or where a client might be at the moment, and then looking at their competition and where they need to go in terms of gaining a leadership position. So whatever that might be, it could be a hospital needing to sort of get more patients, get more heads in beds. It could be a new pharmaceutical company finishing their planning process and needing to launch a product. So really what it is seeing what their need is and then giving them a map for how to get to that position of success. So what are their KPIs and how do they achieve a leadership position? So giving them sort of that destination, but also the instructions on how to get there fast. I think one thing that Big Arrow has always stood behind is the idea of direction and velocity. We want to make sure you get where you need to go as fast as possible. There's really no time to waste when it comes to business, let alone in a regulated market when you're competing for heads. So sort of making sure we're operating at the speed of their business and not ours has always been important to understand sort of where they need to go, how they get there, and how we do it fast.
Yeah, it's a great answer.
I think one of the benefits, just to add on to that, of being a shop that focuses across regulated markets, we're able to converge the learnings of one market into another. If you look at the life cycle or the development process of a pharmaceutical, for example, it's anywhere from 7 to 15 to sometimes 20 years. And then market exclusivity is relatively small. If you look in the technology space, when we're working in, hardware or middleware, I mean, your development time is 6 months and you're out, you go.
Mhm.
And so what is it that the technology sector does that we can then bring to the pharma, to the energy, to the financial services sector to accelerate their development and accelerate
Mhm.
their bring products to market?
It's such a great point of taking learnings from one area to the other. And I think obviously of this challenging moment we've all been living through with the pandemic, very much focused on that lovely healthcare space. But wow, we're talking about a solution that went from the laboratory all the way to customers in a blink of an eye. And certainly getting that kind of messaging out there, I imagine, was quite a challenge. But I'd just be curious to get a sense just on that regulated space. The pandemic really absorbed all of our mind spaces. It also created a world where everyone thought they were an expert. And I'd just be curious to hear what your other customers are thinking. And did this open up challenges to find a kind of some mind space there? Or, what was the landscape like?
Well, healthcare to me has been one of the most dynamic categories out there. It's ever changing. And if you think back, to age myself back to the 80s when, the Clintons were promising healthcare reform, and then, the 2000s with Obamacare, and then the evolution of technology now today, digital into healthcare, and the acceleration of vaccines and the awareness of, let's say consumer as expert, thanks to the digital age. To me, that's so intriguing and that's so exciting. People have want at some point, people in some cases, people know more than their physicians do about a specific condition. So you're
Yeah.
seeing healthcare become more of a concern. You're seeing disease rates be diagnosed, diseases being diagnosed sooner, treatments being developed faster. It's really accelerating quite a bit. I mean, Amazon buying One Medical, no one ever thought of that.
Yeah.
And so healthcare is becoming still maintaining front and center. There are two things people want most in the world: health and wealth. Now, if banking can keep up with healthcare, then we're on to something.
I hear you. Well, that sounds that's a great way of capturing it. AJ, I'd be curious to get your take. I mean, here we are at a moment where lots of people are talking about changes in the communications landscape, shift towards more use of data and to capture better insights. Machine learning is the discussion of the day. What are the trends that you're seeing out there that excite you? Maybe others that might give you pause or reflection?
Yeah, I mean, I think sort of more recently looking at how media and specific mediums can reach consumers is getting both interesting and frightening. I think everyone's got that concern that their Echo or their home device is listening to them the whole time, but in reality, what communications and media planning companies can do now is really start to target and start to figure out where you are. And I think that's sort of a double-edged sword. I think that's sort of, we have HIPAA and there are certainly privacy laws, but at the same time, you receive a banner ad on your phone after going on, seeing a commercial or going on a certain web page, and it's kind of like, well, that's scary. At the same time, what it's giving you is the ability to access information that can really help you. And I think for us, that's sort of always been something is sort of when you look at regulated markets, in particular, pharma and biotech and healthcare, is that you're dealing with information that is wildly complex. I mean, it takes degrees to understand and to deliver this stuff, and just really difficult to understand. So I think what excites me is sort of what the places we're able to target with media now, and the way that we can translate or maybe sort of simplify the messaging that healthcare companies, that whatever space it is to deliver something that's palatable, that you can digest, you can understand, and then implement, rather than saying, okay, I can go online and I can learn all about this stuff and all of a sudden I'm a doctor. That
Yeah.
ain't the case, and it really never will be. So I think being able to deliver complex information that's tough to digest in a format that is convenient and understandable, to me, is going to have probably one of the bigger impacts sort of going forward for brands.
Yeah. And, Mike, I can't help but think about this. I've actually built a couple of agencies myself. And, the big thing for me always with agencies, and as somebody who came out of agencies like Leo Burnett and David, Ogilvy, and was
Mhm.
culture, 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 culture. And what does this agency stand for? And I think I'd be remiss not asking you about the Big Arrow culture, and really, as you think about the next phases for this business, what is the company about? What are you guys?
Well, I think really it's about family, I guess, to go back to your original observation. And I'm very fortunate that AJ and I are family, but up until this point, there were other quote unquote family members there. The spirit of Big Arrow is really always been, to me, like day camp. And I don't mean to, you know, knock either one, but when you think about camp, it's a place you go voluntarily, you hang out with your friends, you do something you're proud of, you want to show your mother and your peers, and then you want to go back the next day. To me, that's the mantra, and that's what I've always followed for Big Arrow culture.
Mhm.
Same exact idea. Is a place where people want to be.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
If I could add on, I mean, my dad started the company at our kitchen table almost 20 years ago with what I remember being four friends, because all they did their phone calls, they did their meetings, but they were always laughing. They were always sort of what clearly was enjoying what they were doing. And to me, that's what attracted me most about coming back and helping build and helping continue the growth of Big Arrow, is to keep that sort of close knit environment and doing work you're proud of at the same time, doing work you want to do. I think that's the beauty of sort of where my dad's kept the business, is they've been able to take on clients that they really wanted to work on and fit within our wheelhouse, that they all knew that they were going to work well on. And, I'm pretty sure that all five people at the kitchen table are still in touch with my dad, if not still working with Big Arrow.
Yeah.
We actually all still like each other.
Yeah.
The thing I love about that is I worked actually at the holding company level of some of the big marketing companies like WPP and IPG, and we acquired a lot of agencies, and sometimes you find yourself in these meetings with the founders, and sometimes they'd be old friends, and it was so refreshing sometimes to hear how they would talk with one another, because you really could see, how should I say, the authentic nature of relationships. And sometimes in business, we lose that. And it's a really important thing.
I think especially with the consolidation of advertising and the inclusion now of digital and broadcast and content development, et cetera, and the expansion of the quote unquote advertising space, you're seeing a loss of that. You're seeing it's really becoming less human. It's becoming more economically driven than strategically or creatively driven. And that's one of the reasons I think, Big Arrow remains private.
Yeah.
We to keep it under control, to keep it a family, to work with people we like, to like the people we work with,
Yeah.
both on the agency and the client side. And
Yeah.
we've been very, very lucky.
Well, I mean, I definitely agree with you. I was at Burnett when Burnett went from being essentially a private partnership to a public company to then part of a much larger public company.
I
And
was on the other side of that. I was at
yeah,
Darcy
yeah.
and
Well, so you know what that was like.
Publicis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it was just fascinating to see a handful of people made a lot of money for sure. But apart from that, I really
Right.
think that idea of the partnership piece and that family that Burnett really prided itself on really never came back. They try, but it's certainly not the old Burnett, and that I think you sometimes have to ask yourself, maybe certain businesses and business models need to be structured in certain ways. I
Yeah.
don't know. I've always thought about that. Maybe partnership was a better angle for agencies. I don't know.
I think for us, our center of gravity has always been creativity rendered from a family environment.
Yeah.
the best the team could do. And I think that's really important. And we don't have, Papa Bear sitting somewhere around the world telling us how much we can spend or not.
Yeah.
I think it's really just important to do the best work you can, no matter what.
I love that. Well, AJ, let's play the Nostradamus role here. Here we are at the beginning of 2023. You find yourself driving business development for the Big Arrow Group. What's on the docket?
Yeah, well, right now, if I've worked with you or we're connected on LinkedIn, you've probably heard from me in the last month. So I'm sorry if you didn't want that, but coffee's on me. But yeah, I think right now where I'm at is really getting out there with just awareness for what I'm doing, coming in, joining the team, what I want to do with the business and where we want to go. I think as I sort of look ahead and, my dad's done the last 20 years and I have to now think about the next 20 and sort of what we want to do. And, I don't want to change shape too much, but at the same time, we're going to pivot and we're going to sort of adapt as we need. I think other than bugging the hell out of everybody I know is sort of then starting to figure out on my own how to build business. I've seen it done plenty, and I've gotten to help on it plenty previously, but having to sort of be in it, I think balances the perfect amount of fear and excitement that kind of like, okay, I got to get up and go. And at the same time, oh, I get to do this. So a lot of it has just been networking and outreach and kind of getting our name out there and reconnecting with people and kind of getting into the grapevines and hearing what's going on. It's absolutely exhilarating in that sense to sort of be at the helm and ready to rock and roll. I think it's going to be interesting to see sort of what we can drum up this year and then build on from there.
That's great. And Mike, what do you see for the new year?
I see it's a year of superlatives. It's going to be bigger. Things are getting louder. Things are moving faster. The world is getting scarier. So I think we just need to be more protective of our business and our clients' business, to not lose sight of that. It's very easy to get distracted when things get bigger or louder or reach further. And that's when things start to erode. So for us, it's really staying focused, weathering the storms that may come our way, and just having a really solid point of view about who we are and what we stand for and what we can do for our clients.
Well, it's great counsel. AJ, if anyone wanted to reach out to Big Arrow Group and learn more, where should they find you?
hello@bigarrowgroup.com. I'd also say LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find, I certainly hope. And I'm also pretty easy to talk to, I've been told. But honestly, yeah, through our website, bigarrowgroup.com, through LinkedIn. I'd put my phone number on this, but that sounds risky. But yeah, I think honestly, sort of my hope is we're easy to find. Otherwise, I'm not doing my job very well.
Yeah, no, well, I think that the way you described it was perfect. If you can reach out to hello, that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably have already heard from me too, so apologies if so.
No worries. Well, listen, AJ and Mike, it's been amazing to talk with you. We've been speaking with AJ Marino and Mike Marino. They are part or the leadership of the Big Arrow Group. Mike Marino is the president and CEO. AJ Marino drives their business development. We've been talking about the history of the Big Arrow Group, where it came from, where it is, and really where it's going. And a lot of exciting stuff to see here, lots of interesting challenges in the marketing world today. But it's great to see how a family marketing business has evolved and is taking shape for the new challenges. So congratulations, you guys, and we look forward to having you back on the Uncaged Show. Cheers.
Thank you, Matt. All the best.
Thanks, Brent. Appreciate it, man.